Logging trucks. Few movie scenes have left drivers gripping their steering wheels tighter than the highway pileup in Final Destination 2. A logging truck loses its load, sending giant tree trunks tumbling down the road and into other cars. It's one of those scenes that plants a permanent seed of dread whenever you end up driving behind anything carrying long, heavy cargo. Unfortunately, reality has proven this fear isn't just cinematic paranoia. Unsecured or shifting loads can cause logs to break free, turning them into high-speed battering rams. In 2024, a man in North Carolina was killed when his vehicle collided with the back of a timber truck. The impact drove one of the logs through his windshield and into his abdomen, killing him instantly. That same year in North Dakota, a couple died in an almost identical crash, rear-ending a logging truck and being impaled by the cargo. These accidents usually occur when drivers misjudge following distance or when trucks fail to properly secure their loads. Regulations require logging trucks to use chains, binders, and other restraints, but even with precautions, sudden stops or collisions can send massive logs flying forward with deadly force. If there's a silver lining, it's that these incidents are rare compared to the number of logging trucks on the road. Still, if you find yourself behind one, it's worth taking the scenic route, or at least giving them a lot of extra space. Because while fresh-cut timber smells great in a hardware store, it's not something you want coming through your windshield. Before we continue, I'd like to point out that only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind later. Enjoy the rest of the video. Escalators. For most people, escalators are just moving stairs with a side of mild paranoia. We've all had the thought, what if my shoelace gets stuck? In the Final Destination, Laurie's fear comes to life in the most horrifying way possible. She gets pulled into the machine's gears during a mall disaster. While that scene cranks the gore factor to 11, real escalator accidents can be equally nightmarish. One of the most infamous incidents happened in 2015 in Jingzhou, China. A mother and her young son were riding an escalator in a department store when a maintenance panel at the top collapsed under her feet. With only seconds to react, she managed to push her son to safety before the faulty metal plate swallowed her whole. Workers attempted to dismantle the escalator to free her, but she did not survive. Escalator fatalities often involve entrapment, loose clothing, shoes, or even body parts getting caught between moving steps and fixed structures. In some cases, poorly maintained or aging equipment is to blame. While the chance of such a gruesome accident is extremely low, the consequences when it does happen are catastrophic. So here's the survival tip. Keep laces tied, toes back from the edge, and avoid the urge to lean on those rubber handrails like they're theme park rides. Escalators are great at moving you up or down, just don't give them a reason to take you all the way. Explosive grills. Backyard barbecues are supposed to smell like burgers, hot dogs, and maybe a little bit of lighter fluid, not burning hair and regret. In Final Destination 2, Brian gets blown to smithereens when a propane tank explodes in a comedic twist ending. In real life, these explosions aren't usually the cartwheeling fireball kind, but they can still be deadly. One such tragedy occurred at a church community cookout. A volunteer was preparing to light the grill when an undetected leak allowed a large amount of propane to accumulate around the burner area. As soon as he struck the ignition, the gas ignited in a violent burst. The explosion blew the grill door open with such force that it struck him in the head, killing him instantly. Propane is heavier than air, which means it can pool in low areas if it escapes. Add an ignition source and you've got the recipe for disaster. Faulty hoses, loose fittings, or using a grill in an enclosed space can turn a casual cookout into a cautionary tale. So, before firing up the grill, check for leaks with soapy water, keep the lid open during ignition, and stand to the side. Because the only thing you want flipping at a barbecue is the burger, not you. Pool drains. If you've ever dropped something valuable in a pool, you know the urge to dive down and grab it. In the Final Destination, Hunt makes the ill-fated choice to chase his lucky quarter into the deep end. Unfortunately, his butt finds the pool's drain, one with suction so powerful that it turns his insides into outsides in the most stomach-churning way imaginable. While the movie's gore level is obviously Hollywoodized, the concept isn't far-fetched. Pool drains can be dangerous when they lack proper anti-entrapment covers, creating enough suction to trap a person underwater. Sounds absurd, right? Unfortunately, this is one of those so crazy it's real situations. There have been numerous real-life cases of swimmers being trapped by pool drains, most ending in a rescue, thankfully. But in 2007, just 2 years before the movie's release, 6-year-old Abigail Taylor sat on an uncovered drain at a Minneapolis country club. The suction tore out part of her intestinal tract. She initially survived but endured 16 surgeries and multiple organ transplants before passing away 9 months later. The tragedy prompted the passing of the Virginia Graham-Baker Pool and Spa Safety Act, which required all public pools in the U.S. to use drain covers designed to prevent entrapment. Most modern facilities now follow these safety standards, but older or privately owned pools without updates can still pose risks. So next time you're at the pool, remember, drains are for water, not body parts. If something slips to the bottom, maybe just buy a new one, because finders keepers isn't worth becoming an urban legend. Tanning beds. Horror movies love a good tanning bed scene, probably because it blends a guilty pleasure with the idea of slow, toasty doom. In Final Destination 3, besties Ashley and Ashlyn lock themselves into what becomes a high-tech cremation chamber when a chain of unlucky events sparks a fire inside their beds. Real tanning beds don't usually try to flambe you, but they can start fires. And when they do, the results are less beach goddess and more charred marshmallow. In 2014, one woman found herself living a Final Destination adjacent moment when her session took a turn. She heard a sudden pop, saw smoke rising from beneath her, and realized her tanning session was now doubling as a barbecue. Unlike the unlucky movie characters, she wasn't trapped. So she bolted out in her bikini, setting off the salon's sprinkler system in the process. Incidents like this are usually the result of faulty wiring, poor maintenance, or overheating. Tanning beds consume a lot of power, and when that heat has nowhere to go, electrical components can fail catastrophically. The fire risk is one more reason health experts keep telling us to ditch the UV lamps altogether. The skin cancer thing doesn't help either. Bottom line, if you hear sizzling while tanning, you better hope it's from your playlist and not from the wiring. Elevator doors. Elevators are supposed to make life easier. No stairs, no sweat. But as Final Destination 2 shows us, when machinery decides it's done playing nice, things can get ugly fast. In the movie, Nora's head gets caught between closing elevator doors, and in seconds, she's... Well, let's just say she won't be needing a chiropractor anymore. As wild as it looks, similar incidents have occurred in real life. According to the Final Destination series producer Craig Perry, it happened to a guy whose wife was decapitated. They were working at a hospital, and he had to spend about 3 hours in the elevator with his wife's head. In 1995, a Bronx man was holding an elevator door open for someone when the lift unexpectedly lurched upward. His head was caught between the cab and the floor above, resulting in instant decapitation. In 2003, a surgical resident in Texas was trapped when a malfunction caused the doors to clamp onto his shoulders before the cab suddenly rose. The pressure severed his head before horrified witnesses could intervene. More recently, in 2019, a woman in India had her headphones snagged in the outer structure of a factory elevator. The cable pulled her toward the machinery, causing fatal head injuries in a matter of seconds. While modern elevators have multiple safety features to prevent such horrors, mechanical failure or poor maintenance can bypass these safeguards. Experts recommend keeping clear of closing doors, avoiding physical interference, and ensuring equipment is inspected regularly. So next time you see someone sprinting for the elevator, let the doors close. It's safer to wait than to end up in the kind of story people whisper about for years. Kitchen knives. For many, the most dangerous thing in the kitchen isn't the stove, it's the knives. In the first Final Destination, Valerie's demise comes courtesy of an unlucky chain reaction. She grabs a rag draped over a knife rack, knocks the whole thing over, and gets a blade to the chest. While the movie's domino-style setup feels a little Rube Goldberg, the idea of a knife accident turning fatal is unfortunately entirely possible. Take 2025, when a boy in Queensland, Australia, was unloading the dishwasher and tripped backwards into it. Unfortunately, the open rack held a steak knife pointed upward, and he landed directly on it. Miraculously, the blade missed major arteries, and he walked away after a hospital stay. But not all stories have happy endings. In 2021, a man in the UK was carrying a plate of food up his stairs when he tripped. The fork made it out fine. The knife, however, pierced his neck and severed his carotid artery. He died before paramedics could reach him. Knives are responsible for thousands of home injuries each year, most of them minor slices from bad chopping technique, but freak accidents happen, and when they do, the results are instant and severe. Safety experts recommend always keeping blades pointed down in dishwashers, storing them in secure blocks. Nail guns. There's a certain satisfaction in the thunk of a nail gun at work, unless that thunk is happening in your general direction. In Final Destination 3, Aaron gets an industrial-grade send-off when a nail gun pumps a lethal stream of fasteners into the back of her head. Real nail guns don't quite operate like automatic rifles, but they are capable of serious injury and even death if misused. According to OSHA, at least 10 fatal nail gun accidents have been reported in recent years. These tools can fire nails at speeds over 1,000 feet per second, which means that a small slip can turn handyman into homicide scene. In 2023, one carpenter's apprentice experienced a freak ricochet incident. Two nails discharged almost simultaneously, one bouncing off the other and launching upward through his tongue. Miraculously, he survived with a nightmare story for family dinners. Not everyone is as lucky. In 2013, a 33-year-old construction worker lost his life when a safety modification turned deadly. His nail gun's sequential trigger, meant to reduce accidental discharges, had been replaced with a contact trigger for speed. While hoisting up a wall frame, he inadvertently fired a nail directly into his eye, causing fatal brain trauma. The moral: nail guns are for building houses, not ventilating skulls. And if your coworker is talking about modding the safety features for efficiency, maybe take your lunch break early, somewhere very far away.